Hello and welcome our beloved viewers to RTD's News English Edition. As usual, we begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights. Let's follow. High-level meeting to combat illegal trafficking, interministerial consultation. And graduation ceremonies in the 5 interior regions, MENFOP decentralization. And on the international scene, the UN votes 2 resolutions in favor of Palestine. Those were our major top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. An important interministerial meeting for the implementation of effective actions to curb the proliferation of smuggling in our country was held at the Hotel Kempinski. The high-level meeting was organized by the Ministry of Budget, Minister of Budget, Mr. Isman Ibrahim Roble, with the participation of the Minister of Interior, Mr. Saeed, of the Minister of Commerce, Mr. Mohammed Warsama. In addition to the members of the government, the high-level meeting was attended by the Chief of General Staff of the Army, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, the Director General of Customs, Mr. Guled Ahmed, the Colonel of the Coast Guard, Colonel Wa'is Umar Boghore, the Director General of the National Police, Mr. Abdurrahman Ali Kahin, the 5 prefects of the interior regions, and the Chief of the Corps of the 5 regions. The participants insisted on the need to put in place a unified strategy to curb smuggling in all its forms in the national territory, especially in the 5 regions where there is an upsurge in smuggling. Coordination will be necessary between all the actors the fight against smuggling, who must share responsibilities and sniff out resources for a common front against the harmful effects of smuggling, which harms the national economy. For an effective fight against this scourge of smuggling, it was discussed the development of actors of the fight against smuggling. In addition, a vast awareness campaign will be conducted at the national level, especially to stop the proliferation of smuggling. The participants expressed their firm will not to give free rein to the activities of smugglers, especially with regard to smuggling of khat. Finally, the high-level meeting closed with the need to engage a collective dynamism with all actors to stop the proliferation of smuggling. His Excellency, the Minister of Commerce and Tourism, Mr. Mohammed Warsamadiri, gave a further speech explaining at the outset that the problem of smuggling goods harms the country's economy and constitutes a major problem. In a speech by His Excellency the Minister of Interior, Mr. Saeed Nuh Hassan, on this occasion, he addressed at the outset the importance of this meeting and said that the goal that unites us here today is to first understand where the problem lies, how this problem has developed, and how to face it. For his part, His Excellency the Minister of Budget, Mr. Isman Ibrahim Roble, expressed his thanks and gratitude to all the officials participating in this meeting. Torrential rains hit the capital late yesterday evening. These rains accompanied by thunder-generated intermittent showers. These heavy rains fell on the capital, causing flooding in almost all residential areas of the city of Djibouti. These heavy rains have generated emergencies and inconveniences in different sectors of the city. In addition to the many works underway to improve the infrastructure and road network of the capital, the mobility of its inhabitants have collapsed. The employees of the city's public work department, ONIAD, had to multiply the number of exits in order to unblock the sewer outlets, this causing significant accumulations of water. Moving to Hayu, Oboh, in the presence of a strong delegation from the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, to be the privileged witness of a symbolic event, the culmination of a dream so cherished by the head of state, and his vision mainly focused on improving the educational system that has borne fruit to celebrate in joy and happiness a ceremony of graduation of the Baccalaureate 2022 class named Medina Mohammed Roble, our dearest and late Inspector of Education. The event of this graduation ceremony was attended by the first Deputy Prefect of the region, in this case Mr. Ali Mohammed Maki, the President of the Regional Council Mr. Mohammed Hamad Ismail, the deputies of the region, the technical advisor of the Ministry of National Education, and also the Dean of the Great Educational Family, Mr. Mohammed Sanlase, and other representatives of MENFOP. Head of the Regional Department of Education in Oboh, Mr. Abdul Ghadir Ahmed Hussein, Hassan Mohammed Umar, the Arab Educational Advisor in Oboh, the Director of Al Rahma Camp, traditional leaders from the population of Djiboutian origin in the refugee community, the parents community, teachers, and of course the new graduates. A step forward that testifies to the combined efforts of different ministerial departments in order to give free rein to the national policy set up in education by the number 1 of the Republic for a more promising educational momentum thanks to, in particular, the decentralization policy that has allowed and facilitated the holding of such a high and symbolic event. It is necessary to mention the amazing success of the majors of the first class of 37 graduates out of 37 of the School of Excellence, a generation of geniuses who wrote a new page in the history of education of our young nation and constantly made the pride of the great educational family, both national and regional. It goes without saying that the educational ceremony was a great success of all concerned, the baccalaureate winners, their tutors, their teachers, and their peers in the parents' committee of the lucky winners. In addition, the parents of the refugee high school expressed their ecstasy regarding this ceremony of baccalaureate graduation to their sons and daughters. As for the graduates themselves, they did not fail to recognize the certification sought after during so many years spent on the benches of studies. After the successful conduct of the baccalaureate examination decentralized for the first time this year in the regions, the graduation ceremony of the baccalaureate took place in the region of Tajora in the large room of the technical school. The ceremony was attended by the sub-prefect, the president of the regional council, the deputy of the region, the heads of the decentralized services, the representative of Riyadh, the commander of the police, Gendarmerie, the Ukaz, the representatives of the APE, the Parents Association, the inspector of the region, the teachers, and of course the new graduates. The particularity of this year is it's the first decentralized baccalaureate in the history of Djibouti. Named Medina Mohammed Roble, this class was able to take the exams in their own region for the first time. The parents expressed their ecstasy at the ceremony of graduation for their sons and daughters. As for the graduates themselves, they did not fail to recognize the certification they have been seeking for so many years in the classrooms. Like their parents, they experienced their feelings of gratitude to the Djiboutian nation and its first responsible, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Gelle, and his Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, and his main collaborators of his government department, including his Secretary General Mohammed Mahyoub Abdullah, who had ensured the success of the baccalaureate file of high school students in the region. The ceremony ended in a friendly atmosphere with the presentation of diplomas to the new laureates and prizes to the graduates. And for his part, the representative of the Ministry of Decentralization, Mr. Usman Musa Usman, congratulated the first distinguished students, praising the great sacrifices they made to obtain the general and vocational secondary certificate. He said that this event confirmed that the decentralization of the general and vocational secondary exams has changed the rules of the game and made many things easy for candidates to obtain a baccalaureate degree. The secondary school certificate is a pivotal point between the secondary stage and university education, and its long-awaited decentralization is in line with the implementation of two main principles, namely the implementation of the decentralization system and dedication for all programs, he concluded. Under the high patronage of the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, the official graduation ceremony for the best baccalaureate winners of the 2021-2022 session was celebrated with great pomp and circumstance in the Unity region. Not only in the capital but also in the interior regions, this grandiose event was in honor of the best winners from the various general and technical high school of the capital and the regions. In Dakhil, the technical high school of the region hosted this beautiful celebration where the president of the regional council, the deputy prefect, the representatives of MENFOP and decentralization elements of forces and defense, as well as civil society, were given an appointment early in the morning at the enclosure of the technical high school of Dakhil. For the first time ever in Djibouti, students from this region were required to take their exams, and there, with the largest number of inhabitants, the city of Humeri has hosted more winners this year, a record. The officials who took turns and for the most part succeeded to the microphone to address the young people to congratulate them and wish them further success in the future, and did not fail to express their joy and pride to take part in this event. The 2021 edition of the baccalaureate was a great success for MENFOP. This was shown in the short film shown before the audience to trace the challenge and the colossal efforts as well as the spirit of sacrifice and self-sacrifice that allowed to obtain such satisfactory results. The best laureates and their principals have given oral testaments in front of the official and guests. Then the participants proceeded to a presentation of the diploma and gifts from MENFOP to the 6 best laureates, and finally the traditional family photo. The President of the Regional Council, Mr. Mahad Hussein, and the Deputy Prefect of Dakhil, Mr. Yusuf Ali, who followed each other at the microphone in front of the youth, addressed their warm congratulations to the lucky winners and called for more success in the years to come while assuring the high school students of their city of their constant support. Moreover, the very idea of existing this event to the regions was welcomed and unanimously thanked the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, and the Minister of Decentralization, Mr. Qasim Harun Ali. Moving on within the framework of the project of capacity building on the safety of maritime security at sea in the third phase, the Djiboutian Coast Guard organized a closing ceremony of a training on maintenance of outboard engines which benefited 10 members of the Naval Technical Service of the Djiboutian Coast Guard. This ceremony, which was held on Sunday, July 24 at the Declaratory of Operation of the Djiboutian Coast Guard located at the fishing port, was jointly chaired by Colonel Wa'is Omar Baghore, Commander of the Djiboutian Coast Guard, and the acting permanent representative of JICA in Djibouti, in the presence, among others, of Admiral Kagami, head of Japan Maritime Safety Association teams, and officers and non-commissioned officers of the Coast Guard. In a short speech delivered on this occasion, the commander of the Coast Guard recalled the close ties of cooperation and collaboration between the institution and its Japanese partners, whether it's JICA or JAMS. He took this opportunity to express his gratitude and appreciation to the government and people of Japan for their constant support and unwavering faith in the work of the Djibouti Coast Guard in the areas of security and maritime safety of the Bab el-Mandab in the Gulf of Aden. This training is a further testimony of the efforts put in place to strengthen the development of the operational capabilities of the Djiboutian Coast Guard. The ceremony ended with the presentation of certificates to the participants who benefited from this training. Following the ceremony, the Djiboutian Coast Guard and JICA proceeded to the signature of an exchange of notes on the reception of various special materials intended for the maintenance of outboard engines provided by JICA for the benefit of the Djiboutian Coast Guard and signed a memorandum of understanding on the training of mechanical engineers of the Djiboutian Coast Guard. A visit of the workshop of the Naval Technical Service was held when then organized where the guests could listen to explanations on the missions of the technical services and the organization of its tasks. The Deputy Prefect of the 2nd District, in collaboration with the civil society, organized a concentration meeting with all the local actors on Thursday at the CLE Center. The objective of this meeting was to discuss with the inhabitants of Section 7 as neighborhoods to how to make sites or passes in the neighborhoods. Were present at the meeting the President of the Commune of Bil'os, the Deputy of the Commune of Bil'os, the Sub-Prefect of the 2nd District, the Director by interim of the Key Center, the Deputy Director of the OVD, the representative of the ADR, the local elected officials, the councillors of the districts, and the civil societies. The High Executive of the Commune and the Deputy of the Districts of Bil'os, the High Executive of the Commune, and the civil society had panelist discussions and exchanged their vision on the point of life on the future of urban roads in the districts. In fact, in the coverance of points of view, they managed to agree that the civil society and the population must play a role in the security and ownership of their streets once the work is finished. A real Garden of Eden for all lovers of Japanese comics known as manga. The first Japanese convention in Djibouti, the People's Palace, was stormed by young girls and boys of all ages. All fans of manga and Japanese culture all gathered to share their passion among friends. On the menu of this exhibition, the organizers have prepared stands composed of display of figures and posters, a real boon for fans. In addition to the exhibition of figures and the effigy of the favorite characters of young people, video games, drawings, paintings, fingeries, and all other surprises, as well as games and the karaoke that have made the greatest happiness of young people. The participants had a great time, competing on classic video games such as Tekken, Naruto Storm, and real art video games of the Japanese culture. an immersive experience, so to speak, a real dive into the rich and colorful universe of the works. Sponsors such as The Money Management accompanied these young people from all over the world during this day. During a cosplay contest, the The Money Management awarded the winner the sum of 20,000 Djiboutian francs in electronic money for the best screenings in appearances of their favorite manga characters. It should be noted that this trend is taking root today in Djibouti. The phenomenon affects all generations. This illustrates that manga are not only reserved for the youngest, contrary to what may think. In the end, the organizers were full of praise for the organizers, especially the management of The Money, which has accompanied them since the very beginning. The families of Idris Ahmed Deboub and Gabon regret to announce the death of Mohamed Idris Ahmed, known as Coco, which occurred this Saturday, July 23, in Paris, France. A man with a big heart, with an equal dedication to his fellow man and recognized everywhere for his contagious joviality. A great friend, considered as a brother by many, a colleague appreciated by his peers, and a child of Djibouti, loved by those of his country. The late Mohamed Idris was also, and above all, a pillar for his siblings, and leaves behind him a large family, including a widow and 4 children. The late Ahmed Idris leaves a huge void, incapable, left in the hearts of all those who love him. We share the pain of the family of the deceased Mohamed Idris Ahmed, and we offer our sincere condolence to all his family, and we pray to God to welcome him in his eternal paradise. Upon learning of the death of the late Mohamed Idris Ahmed, the Minister of Communication, Mr. Radwan Abdullahi Bardon, who was very touched by the death of the deceased, sent us this letter to express his sincere condolence to the family of the deceased Mohamed Idris, and I quote, "It is with this consternation and bitterness that I learned of the death in Paris for a dear friend. Mohamed Idris Ahmed, better known by his nickname Coco, was warm, simple, and generous. Mohamed was appreciated by all for his exceptional human qualities. A career diplomat, the deceased was benevolent and courteous, with a kind word for his fellow men. He will remain forever alive in the hearts of those who had the chance to be with him in these painful circumstances. I express my deepest condolence to his wife, his children, his relatives, and his friends. May Allah, the most merciful, welcome him into his eternal paradise. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un." Shifting gears towards the international scene now, a 54-member United Nations Economic and Society Council in New York adopted by an overwhelming majority 2 resolutions related to the economic and social repercussions of the Zionist occupation of the Palestinian territories, reported the Palestinian news agency, WAFA. Well, by this, our beloved viewers, we conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening. Take care. Thank you very much.